Hey. Hey. I must be getting tired. I just read this entire email without hitting the record button on the stupid camera. Anyway, I got one more to read here. The sun's really going down and the temperature's dropping. And there is, oops. Sarah's gonna be home shortly. And I'm supposed to be cooking dinner. What the hell? What the hell? Eh? Anyway, here we go. Hello, Steve. My name is Daniel DeAmico, and if you read this on your YouTube channel, feel free to use my name. I don't give a rat's ass who hears or believes what I'm about to tell you. Let me state, for the record, up until 2015, I was on the non-believer's side of the Bigfoot phenomenon, mostly because I hadn't looked closely at the issue, and partly because I am a skeptic about most everything. I've not relayed this story before now because everyone involved seems to have an agenda or angle they're playing. That is, until I started watching your videos. You seem to be laying out the stories for the sake of the stories, so here it goes. In the spring of 2015, my wife let me know we were going Bigfoot hunting with a well-known person in the Bigfoot world. I liked being married to my wife, so I agreed to the trip with a disclaimer that she was the Bigfoot hunter and I was just going camping. We packed up and made our way to the Ohari National Forest, North Carolina. We met our group, got into canoes, and paddled out to an island in the middle of the Yadkin River. After setting up camp, about 10 of us sat around sharing stories about encounters and theories, like everything from hair samples to UFOs dropped them off on Earth. I kept my opinions to myself. They are like asses, and our own is most important. After 2 days of camping, camaraderie, and no Bigfoot, everyone decided to go to a smaller river on the last evening at about 11 p.m. We were walking on a small path that followed the river about 10 feet above the riverbanks, so that the river was on our right, and to our left was a steep ridgeline about 50 feet up. I wanted to walk it, but it was too steep for me to climb it. The river was very loud, and people were almost shouting to be heard over the water. I elected to drop back about 50 to 75 yards behind the crowd as they were making an ungodly racket. Being a hunter, I found it to be unthinkable to make that much noise in the woods. This is where it becomes interesting. I was in camo, head to toe, and just Indian walking 3 steps and listen twice as long as my walking. That's when I heard something matching my steps. 10 minutes of this and I knew there was intent. I was being stalked. I've been stalked by bears and a large cat once. This is nothing like that. My steps were being echoed. 3 steps, 2 steps, 5 steps. It didn't matter. It was step for step. My thought was, it was planned out by the host. My thought was, it was planned out by the host of this thing, which pissed me off. Fortunately, I was not armed, at the request of my wife. I caught up to the party and expressed my concern, which is immediately dismissed by the host. I'm a whatever kind of guy, so whatever. I left the party, headed back, and stayed behind. I leaned on a tree and blended in. 5 minutes or so later, a large branch flew over the ridge 20 feet or so from me. I didn't move, thinking it was some dude pushing his luck with me. I was distracted by footsteps behind me that turned out to be one of the party members who stayed behind to relieve himself. He stopped right beside me and didn't see me. After a moment I said, "Did you hear the log being tossed?" The poor guy screamed and went a bit weak in the knees. He didn't hear the log and left to catch up with the party. After 5 more minutes, I decided to leave and find a cup of coffee. More footsteps matching mine. What the hell? I thought. Unquestionably bipedal. As I came to a 3-foot wide gully, cut by water coming down from the ridge, I stepped into it and squatted down to listen a bit more. I'm not sure how long I squatted there, but I was about to leave when I looked up the gully and seen a rather large bush in the middle of the gully about 20 yards up. I remember thinking how odd it was, everything was washed out except the gully. Everything was washed out of the gully except that bush. Well, the bush stood up to about 6.5 feet. It was looking up the gully. As I stood up, at the same time this thing did, it turned. We noticed each other at almost the same time, and we stood there. I'm not saying I snuck up on Bigfoot, but we both did the classic taken aback body motion. And when we stared at each other, I can only imagine it was thinking the same thing as I was. Well, what now? I have no idea how long we looked at each other. I know it was long enough for me to go through several courses of action. Charge it? No. Shoot it? Maybe. Shit, no gun. Also, it did not present as aggressive. Outrun it? Yeah, right. I decided on easing out of the gully towards the party and pray. Before I could move, this thing bounded up the steep hill behind it in 3 bounds, about 30 feet up. What's best described as a pyramid steep. I ran to the party, explained what happened, and was again dismissed by the host. Go figure. I said I was going back with or without anyone. We all went back, and I found tracks 13 inches long and 7 inches wide on the side of this hill. Again, I was dismissed and told those weren't tracks. I said, piss off. I've been in the woods and seen enough tracks to recognize any of them, and I know what toes are. The wife and I went back the next day and found 6 more tracks about 6 feet apart. No smell and no unexplained fear. The only remarkable thing, besides a freaking Bigfoot, was the quiet. There was a full moon that evening, but the canopy kept me from seeing it in detail. It was 6+ feet tall, long black hair, and thin, if other descriptions are the indicator. If other descriptions are an indicator. The arms were below knee level and the legs were longer than I would have imagined on something that size. I'm guessing 350 to 400 pounds. Broad shoulders and a defined waist. I will end this with people say they will do this or do that if they come across one, but I can tell you, your thought process is escape and not letting piss run down your leg. Thanks for your channel and thanks for taking the time to read this. Daniel D'Amico. Thanks, Daniel. What a weird, that's an odd reaction from your host, right? Unless they're actually there just to find out where these things are and then relay them to somebody else. You never know. Who knows? I don't know. But there you go. Seeing's believing, right? Welcome to the club of no return, man. You'll never go in the woods and not think about those things ever, ever again. Never again. And it's funny when you say about that, the thought of escaping. I remember one time, second time I seen one of these things, I think. And it was up this valley, actually. Straight up this valley. And I had a camera on a tripod. I was intentionally looking to see if I could find these things. And I explained in another video before, it's like a game of Frogger. It was across this big meadow, maybe 250 from me, I think. 250 yards. And this big black thing kind of popped up and ducked back down again. And then it popped up and ducked back down again about 40 feet, maybe, yeah, 30, 40 feet off to the side. And I was absolutely terrified. I had a rifle, had a camera on a tripod, and just like you said, you can't describe it. It's hard to describe it accurately, but the thought of hitting a record button on the camera wasn't even present. Wasn't even present. Grabbing a rifle and pointing it at that thing, I didn't even think of that. It was just an instant, intense feeling of needing to run, needing to get the hell out of there. It's such a bizarre, intense feeling. That fright and that panic to save your ass. And it's instant. And it's so powerful. It overrides your own thought process, which you hope you would maintain so that you could calmly pull that video camera and videotape it like it was just a bear, right? I think what freaked me out when I had that experience was the fact that that thing was doing that for me. That was intentionally being done for me. And it was intentionally delivering some kind of something for me intentionally. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I glanced over and here's this thing walk along the field. And then possibly if that happened, possibly I could have kept my shit together enough to hit record on the camera. But I think the fact that it was intentionally doing that for me, and it was remote, way up there all by myself, I think that's possibly why I was absolutely terror-stricken. And but I did grab my camera, my rifle, and I just laughed. Just got the hell out of it, laughed. It stopped popping up, and after I seen it do it, popped up, over, popped up, over, popped up, and then disappeared. And then I got the hell out of there. Go figure, eh? And then it wasn't long after that was when the log got blasted into the tree. Like it sounded like a backhoe would have done it with a boom, right? But in the middle of nowhere, and that was it for me. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to look for you guys anymore. But anyway, there you go. Thanks for that email, man. Pretty amazing. You know, it's not too common. You don't really hear. I don't follow any groups though, but yeah, I don't think it's that common that people actually go out intentionally looking for these things and come across them, right? It's usually by accident. But anyway, there you go. I gotta get out of here. No more reading today. So if you have an experience you want to share with everybody, get the shit off your chest. This is the safe place to do it. There's no bullshit here, and we're all here to support your ass. So share my story at howtohunt.com or tell my story at howtohunt.com, and it will eventually get read aloud.